Assurbanipal, often hailed as one of the most powerful and intellectual rulers of the Neo-Assyrian Empire, reigned from 669 BCE to 631 BCE. He was the last great king of Assyria, an empire that, at its peak, spanned from the Persian Gulf in the southeast to the Mediterranean in the northwest. Assurbanipal's reign is remembered not only for his military victories and imperial expansion but also for his extraordinary patronage of the arts and the preservation of knowledge, marking him as a significant figure in the history of the ancient world. Early life and ascension to the throne. Assurbanipal was born into a royal family, the son of King Esarhaddon, and his mother was a princess from the royal family of Babylon. His early life was marked by the intense political and military challenges that defined Assyria during the 7th century BCE. As the son of a king, Assurbanipal was trained in the ways of leadership, warfare, and governance, but his path to the throne was not straightforward. His father Esarhaddon had other sons, and Assurbanipal had to navigate a complex succession process. In 675 BCE, Esarhaddon, having secured the throne after a period of instability, decided to divide his empire between his sons. Assurbanipal was designated the ruler of the western provinces, including the crucial city of Nineveh, while his brother, Shamash-Shum-ukin, was appointed as the king of Babylon. However, tensions between Assurbanipal and his brother would later lead to conflict. Upon the death of Esarhaddon in 669 BCE, Assurbanipal ascended to the throne as the king of Assyria. His reign, however, was marred by internal strife and a series of revolts. He faced a significant rebellion from his brother Shamash-Shum-ukin, who, dissatisfied with being subordinated to Assurbanipal's rule, led a revolt in Babylon. Assurbanipal responded decisively, and after a bitter siege, he eventually crushed the rebellion in 648 BCE, marking the end of Babylon's independence under his rule. Military campaigns and imperial expansion. Assurbanipal's military campaigns were among the most successful and devastating in the history of Assyria. His reign was marked by several military victories, particularly against the Elamites, a powerful kingdom to the east of Assyria. In 653 BCE, Assurbanipal launched a campaign against Elam, which culminated in the capture of its capital, Susa. The fall of Susa was a major turning point, as Assurbanipal looted the city and brought back significant spoils to Assyria, including the famed statue of the goddess Nadia, which became a symbol of Assyrian power. Assurbanipal's military prowess extended beyond the Elamites. He led successful campaigns against the Egyptians, who had rebelled against Assyrian influence, and against various rebellious states within his empire. His victory over Egypt in 667 BCE solidified Assyria's dominance over the region, and Assurbanipal's forces were instrumental in maintaining the empire's control over territories from the Levant to Anatolia. Cultural and intellectual achievements. One of the most remarkable aspects of Assurbanipal's reign was his devotion to learning and culture. Unlike many other ancient rulers, Assurbanipal was highly educated and well-versed in the literature and intellectual traditions of the ancient Near East. He was particularly interested in preserving knowledge, and this passion led to the establishment of one of the most famous libraries of the ancient world in Nineveh, his capital. The Assyrian king's library contained thousands of cuneiform tablets, encompassing a vast array of subjects, including literature, law, science, religion, and history. Among the most famous works preserved in Assurbanipal's library was the Epic of Gilgamesh, one of the oldest and most important works of literature in the world. The library also housed medical texts, omens, and astrological writings, illustrating Assurbanipal's commitment to knowledge in all its forms. The library of Assurbanipal was located in the heart of Nineveh, where scribes diligently copied texts and preserved important documents. This collection played a pivotal role in the transmission of knowledge in the ancient world and was instrumental in preserving much of the intellectual heritage of Mesopotamia for future generations. The decline of the Assyrian Empire. Despite Assurbanipal's successes, his reign marked the beginning of the decline of the Neo-Assyrian Empire. Following his death in 631 BCE, the empire began to fragment. His successors were unable to maintain the vast empire that he had built, and internal revolts, coupled with external pressures, began to weaken Assyria. Within a few decades, the empire would fall, and Nineveh itself would be sacked by a coalition of Medes, Babylonians, and Scythians in 612 BCE. Legacy. Assurbanipal's legacy is multifaceted. On one hand, he is remembered as a warrior king who extended the reach of Assyrian power through his military conquests. On the other hand, his dedication to preserving knowledge and fostering cultural development sets him apart from many of his contemporaries. The library he created in Nineveh was a beacon of learning in the ancient world, and its preservation of texts has provided invaluable insight into the civilization of Mesopotamia. His reign also marked the final chapter of the Neo-Assyrian Empire, a once dominant force in the ancient world that, after Assurbanipal's death, rapidly declined. However, his contributions to literature, science, and art have had a lasting impact on world history, and his name is still synonymous with the golden age of Assyrian culture. In conclusion, Assurbanipal was a king who embodied both military strength and intellectual curiosity. His reign is remembered for its military conquests, cultural achievements, and the legacy he left in the form of a library that preserved the wisdom of the ancient world. Though his empire would fall after his death, Assurbanipal's contributions to knowledge and culture have made him one of the most distinguished rulers of the ancient Near East.
Thank you for watching. Please subscribe our channel.